Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I appreciate you clicking on this video, but I really suggest you watch the first one first and then watch this one. It is part 2 of this maybe never-ending series on Poshmark cases and the interactions and the crazy dramatic things that happen. So I'm going to read these in my most dramatic voice to keep you entertained and so we could just kind of laugh about it, because there's just too much seriousness going on around the world and we are going to just mellow. That's what we're gonna do. All right, so let's just get into it. Okay, here's our first case. Says XXL, not anywhere near XXL, bad description, and then provides a photo of it on a, I don't know. Hi to both Poshmark and the buyer. Item is tagged as XXL as shown. Also, measurements were given in the description as shown to help with sizing, as this is a vintage item as stated. Which is very true, because vintage is like, you need to size up a couple or one or two to make sure it fits, because, you know, vintage sizing is a little bit different than it is modern sizing. That's why there's vintage sizing and modern. Moving on. They included measurements. I'm like, if you know me, measurements, everything needs measurements. So, okay, moving on. No questions are asked before purchasing about the item as well, so this seems to read as buyer's remorse, doesn't fit purchase, which Poshmark does not support returns for. You are more than welcome to use my pictures to reposh this item if you'd like. Have a great day. I loved that. I loved everything about that. That was just like, I mean, I personally only refer to Poshmark when either opening a case or when I have a case open against me, simply because I'm trying to maintain professionalism. And honestly, it's not about the buyer-seller interaction at this point. It's proving your side of the case. So, like, it was still very beautifully written, to the point. I don't know if you remember from my last video, I try my best to find out if the case was won or how it all worked out, but I don't often find the answers. So for this one, I don't know, but I mean, I certainly hope it worked out in the seller's favor, simply because obviously they marked it the size and provided measurements. So what is there to argue with? Here's the next one. My order was received over 15 days from the day it said it was shipped. It was sent out for delivery on March 17th, and it was not received until April 1st. While I understand everything going on, this was more than the allotted 10 days, and I would like a refund for the $15 shipping fee. I have reached out to support several times and I have not heard anything in return. Oh my God. So it needed all of that, because she does not understand how this works. The 10 allotted days was the 10 days that sellers were allotted at like the beginning of the pandemic to ship your item, to simply place your item in a shipping mailbox or take it into the store. That was what the 10 days was for. How long it takes to get from point A to point B was literally out of everybody's hands. Even Canada Post couldn't give you delivery dates. Like, they were not guaranteeing anything in the heat of the pandemic, especially not in March. Like, who would talk about March, like the beginning of the pandemic, when like stuff was shutting down and you're complaining about your $15 shipping fee because you didn't get it in the allotted 10 days because you misunderstood what that 10 days really meant. Okay, let's see what they said. Hi, Taylor. I shipped out the bag the next day after you bought it. I was also checking tracking and not sure why it took so long, as you were in the same province as me. Oh my God. Wow, it took 15 days for it to travel. And that truly, it, like, if you were in Ontario, like at any point, your package went to Ontario, your package was lost for like 3 weeks. Like, I don't care. I live in New Brunswick. If my stuff was going to British Columbia, guess what? It was lost in Mississauga for a week or two. Yep, because they like shut down. Oh, it was bad. Shipping in the heat of pandemic was awful, but let's continue this. I don't think opening a case here reflects what you're looking for, as it also jeopardizes my account and stats. Not really, but okay. Poshmark, please close this case and respond to Taylor separately on refunding her the shipping fees, as I shipped 24 hours after purchase and it is not the seller's fault on how slow the expedited shipment is. And again, expedited meant garbage in March of 2020. I don't even know if they even have guaranteed delivery dates, and we are in August of 2021 at this point. So just be glad you literally got your item, because I can't tell you the amount of people who lost their parcels, like got damaged because they were just like overrun. Let me tell you. Oh man, I don't know how this ended. I don't know if they closed the case. I don't know if Taylor got her stuff. But that's not why you open a case. And I mean, what's the photo for? I don't understand the photo. Is something wrong with whatever that is? Like, are you good? No, you're not good. It's okay. Oh, this one's long. Okay, I'm forewarning you. Hi. I am somewhat disappointed with the item. The color is not nearly as vibrant as the photos. The color looks like it's at the end of its life, sort of dull. Prior to purchasing, I looked at the item on multiple computers. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Excuse me, Janice, I need to look at this thing that I want to buy, but I'm not sure if, like, the contrast on my screen is right. Can I look at it on your screen? Oh, thanks. No, it looks good. Hey, Jason, can I check your computer? Like, I want to buy this jacket, but I don't know if, like, mine and Janice's computers are... Can I check yours? Oh, okay. Don't lie. Let me know. And appear to have a consistent color. The third button is also hanging off, like, for dear life. Like, one little tug and pop! I'm just kidding. Okay, moving on. The item is also not a coat. It is more like a dress suit jacket or blazer. So what is that? What do you call that? What's a jacket? A coat? Hang on. That goes over a dress. Well, what else would you put over a dress? But could you also wear a coat over a dress? And wouldn't a jacket be a coat? And a coat be a jacket? And a jacket that you wear over a dress is a coat? Definitely not a coat. Had I known this was not an actual coat, I would not have paid so much for this item. And by the way, this jacket was only $30. So she's going on about how expensive this coat, jacket, whatever. It was $30. She's acting like she paid over $100 for this thing. The seller seems nice because she answers questions quickly, but this item is clearly not a coat by any stretch of the imagination. Truly not what I was expecting. I had great hopes for an actual coat. I'm like, actually, let's just say, like, she talks about the color of the coat for like 3 sentences, okay? She talks about it not being a coat for like a paragraph, okay? She also attaches photos and then her little example photo. The buyer. Hi, the pictures left by the buyer have been edited to look like a completely different green. I don't think she wants... Okay, so my thing is, if I turn off this fancy light, the color is different. The buyer clearly took the photo in a more, like, yellowish tinge, like, what is it called? Like a warm yellow light bulb type thing. Whereas the seller took it in a very well lit... very well lit situation, and yes, greens are going to look different. Color is going to look different, but you should always try to like display it the most accurate on Poshmark. Moving on. The pictures I have in my listing have not been edited and is the accurate green. So obviously she's saying she didn't use some sort of editing to make it brighter, and that is accurate. Like, it's as green as it was to the naked eye. I had this coat advertised as a coat, not a dress. It is obviously not a thick winter coat. Also, the buttons on this coat were not loose when I mailed the item, so I feel like she damaged my item. I only tried to get to return the item and get a refund. Okay. The buyer asked me if it had lining for a coat and made sure it wasn't a dress. I included a photo of the lining and told her it was a coat. She purchased. I am a Posh ambassador and always get stellar reviews and have had many sales with Poshmark. Like, Posh ambassador means nothing. Posh ambassador, the only thing Posh ambassador allows you to do is host parties where you work for free. So, furthermore, I advertised this item as a St. Patrick's Day party outfit costume with a St. Patrick's Day Mad Hatter hat, as this is what I used the coat for. So she's saying it's like a St. Patrick's green, which is like a very, like, green elm, like a bright emerald. I don't know how, but it's a very, like, vibrant green. Are you serious? How dare you suggest the pictures have been edited? You're a scammer to suggest the photos have been edited. Did you forget that technology can prove the photos have not been edited? Not to mention, you took the photos with a background that gave the false illusion of vibrant colors. You're not even showing any remorse. You're a true scammer. I give you way too much credit to believe that you would even do the right thing. Chill. Jesus Christ. Honestly, that reaction kind of makes it seem like you did something wrong. Here's the coat taken by the seller. Nice, vibrant green. Here's the photo, like I described, in a nice, warm, yellowy tinge, taken by the seller. Not to mention, I did not damage the button. I have a 20-plus year relationship with my financial institution, and as a business owner, they know me by first name. Why is this relevant? Why is this relevant at all? My financial institution also knows me by first name. It's on file. Just say. I am not so desperate for a refund that I would engage in such an act of damaging a button as you suggested, when I can instead exercise my other option of filing a dispute with my bank. So do it! Do it! File the dispute with your bank, because honestly, you purchased an item, you received an item, there's proof of shipping and you have received it. There is no fraud happening. Dispute it. You play way too many mind games. I contacted you about the matter and you suggested I file a dispute in a manner that made me believe you cared about my concerns. I don't have any of that information. If she went into the bundle and conversated, I didn't look into that. But if someone came at me like that, I would say, yeah, open a case. But guess what? I'm still going to say my thing. Realistically, you want a return, I can't actually grant that to you without a case being open. But also, I'm going to say something and back up my stuff. Just say. Your lack of responsibility is disturbing on the deepest level. The area surrounding the loose button does not show any evidence whatsoever of fabric distress. The loose button is due to natural wear and tear of the owner. Get over yourself and accept responsibility for your unethical practices. I'm going to get tired of using this voice, but she doesn't stop. So Poshmark obviously does their same old where it says to add more photos. So she goes, Poshmark, I find it interesting that you're asking me to send more photos of the coat, yet you don't see anything wrong with how the seller manipulated lighting by using a shimmery background. You also don't find anything wrong with how the seller falsely advertised this item as a coat when it's actually a jacket from a two-piece dress similar to the attached fourth image. What? Now it's missing a piece? Now we're missing a matching dress? Oh my god. You also don't seem to find anything wrong with a third button is loose, yet you're putting the burden on me to prove this dusty vintage garment does not have nearly the vibrant colors as advertised in the seller's ad. I have purchased $600 shoes from your site, and you making me jump through hoops to prove the seller misled me? Adds the same photos as before. And then I guess adds more colors with other green things, which I believe kind of proves that it is as green as she said it is. But whatever, I don't. You have abused me with your frivolous claims. Clearly the shade of green is not the shade of green as you have in your ad. You falsely advertised this as a coat. It is garbage, not worth more than $10. You're overpriced this for the condition that it's in. Now you can't accept responsibility for misleading me. The jacket is clearly not the same color as the vibrant green in your ad photo. And then she said something about finding a message on Google, and like I couldn't find that information when I was finding these. And I was like, man, that sounds like even more interesting stuff. Damn. I don't have to lie to my bank. My bank doesn't give money back without it investigating. I have a plethora of evidence. You have a serious problem. You clearly don't know how to accept responsibility. You show pure greed by trying to pass this dusty, fading garment off as a jacket. It looks more like a thrift store reject. You're evil. If the garment is worth so much money, then why are you harassing me? Why did it take so long to sell? How does she know how long it took to sell? How do you know how long it took to sell? Also, no, like it's a vibrant green frilly sleeved jacket. It's a niche. Shall I say more? Plus sizing. Like, who knows what size this jacket is, but obviously things are going to take a little bit of time to sell because you have to find the buyer that's the right size that wants that jacket in that color. Like, so irrelevant. If the garment is really worth so much money, you should not have any trouble selling it for your perceived value. You come across as the type that buys clearance items from the thrift shop, then tries to sell it for more than it's worth. Honey, where is the clearance section of the thrift store? Because I would love to know. I would love to know. Again, this is not about buyer's remorse. I am just disappointed because you're playing the victim. There's nothing wrong with buying clearance merchandise than starting a boutique store. Problem comes in when you're rigid in thinking you can sell D-grade merchandise and claim it's in stellar condition. That's disingenuous. You're clearly playing marketing games with the wording. This does not negate the fact that you show the coat as a vibrant, new-looking shade of green. In person, the coat is not nearly the same shade of green. I did try to figure this one out because I was like, why is it just this buyer talking? But when I did start reading, what I can assume this buyer just kept going off. And I don't see anything that's like cut off where like the red would have been. So like it kind of just seems that this person just like go boom, 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 boom. And I've had one of those. So we'll get into that. Anyways, the buyer wins this case. I did find that out. And it actually ended up being like a canceled case where they just canceled it and refunded the buyer and didn't pay the seller and didn't have to return the jacket. Just the amount of energy and anger that went into it. Like it felt like she was like a little kid kind of cornered. Just scammer, disingenuous, like all these things. Like this poor person, like if this was like one of their first cases ever, like that would make me never want to sell on Poshmark. Like that is exactly what I would not want to have to handle. Here's the next one. Again, another long one. Opened a return case for your sale, Coach Shimmer Tote. They reported not the size in the listing. She says, seller described it as a small Coach tote. I've provided a picture of a signature Coach tote and a smaller Coach tote. The bag looks fake, and I will take it to my local Coach store for authentication. The pictures make it look much bigger. So is it the size? Is it a fake? What is it? The seller says, I found my receipt, bought at Dillard's. Coach B Pop Tote was bought at Dillard's, so it cannot be fake. Thanks. Here's the Coach tag. You did not accurately depict the size. The picture you took makes it look like a regular Coach bag. Even the logos look normal when in fact they're tiny. Not very honest on your part, hun. Ew, we're getting into names. I said it was small and the pictures depict it very well. Thanks. So what is your claim? Because it seems you have buyer's remorse. First, it's not authentic. Then I prove that it is. Then it's not accurately described size-wise, when in fact I described it as small. I have over 250 sales. Majority of them are designer bags. Not one has ever been fake or a replica. Not one person has opened a case because I didn't accurately depict the size. Poshmark, I truly believe that she has buyer's remorse. Please do not comment further on my closet or listings. So based on like, okay, first of all, like, I don't care how many things you sold one thing, you sold 1,000 things, you could still have a case opened up against you. And that doesn't really prove you're correct. A lot of resellers and sellers in general throw that out there. And buyers do it too. Like, I spent like $1,000 on this. Like, no. But please do not comment further on my closet or listing kind of makes me feel like this buyer went back into this person's closet and was like, this person's a scammer. this person's a scammer. Because they do that too. That would have been uploading photos of that, but that's me. These pictures were taken in natural light. The green one is the real Coach purse I own, and there's significant difference in size. The supposed tote is clearly not a tote, and it does not shimmer all over as claimed. I've never experienced so many bad purchases from people trying to sell Coach totes that are not totes. This is a purse, and it does not shimmer all over. The Coach logos are so small. I've never seen a Coach with so many tiny, clear misrepresentation. Her photo shows the letters much bigger. The purse does not shimmer all over either. She completely misstated the facts. Okay, so can I just say, like, she keeps commenting about how her purses are real, even though she's already proved that that purse is authentic. So I'm trying to claim that you didn't read the same thing I read, because I read it and she showed you that it was real. And then now we're talking about how it's not shimmery enough. Hun, in the first picture, I can see the shimmer. I can even load my own photos I took of the shimmer. I'm sorry the size is not to your liking, but that's not my fault you don't like the size. It's a tote. That's exactly what Coach calls it. Call them if you have a problem with it. Like, it's just a name. And, like, we all use the name that is provided by the company because that's what people search up. Like, if they wanted this certain thing, you got to use the proper keywords, and this is the name of the item. So now it's not that it's fake or just the size of the bag. It's now that it doesn't shimmer, right? That's what I was saying. So which is it? I gave proof that it was authentic. I never lied about the size. It's a small tote and it shimmers. Even the inside shimmers. I'll be more than happy to load photos for Posh. You also cannot compare it to a green tote from Coach when they're not the same thing. I've submitted pictures with a tote and another tote, which shows how small it is in comparison to my own small Coach tote or purse, whatever she's trying to say it is. The mint green is much smaller than the Coach tote, and yet her tote purse is tiny in comparison to both. It's like a purse for a child, not even an adult. She says it's small. The green one is smaller than my multicolor tote, and yet I was led to believe that it was at least the size of the green one, which is small in comparison to the multicolored tote, and it does not shimmer all over either. I have no buyer's remorse. I own a lot of Coach purses because I love the brand, but I've never seen a tiny... This girl, does she not know what a period is? Because I am out of breath. I have never seen a tiny purse depicted as a tote with little tiny logos. If the seller stands behind her claim, why won't she refund me my money? I'll pay the shipping. I saw a picture of the purse that appeared to have the Coach logo in regular size letters, not tiny. A tote that shimmers all over when it does not. Don't misstate the facts of what you're selling and just refund me my money. I'm very disappointed by the purse tote. That's what I feel like right now. Moving on. I'm very disappointed by the purse or tote. I can afford the bag. It's just not what I paid for. Buyer's remorse is when you don't have the money to cover your purchase. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, my financial situation is solid otherwise. I would have never been able to purchase my own 2 Coach bags, bought full price at the Coach store. Buyer's remorse is a stretch to deflect the fact that this purse tote was misrepresented. So, like, you're like, oh, I didn't have the money to buy that. Yes, like, sometimes that's the case, but that's not always the case. And then she uploads more photos with more of her Coach purses. Dear, the bag was not described wrongly. Your judgment of the bag is your judgment, not actual fact. You're unhappy with it, which is fine, but that is not any fault of my own. I have sold so many things times 100, and no one has ever opened a case regarding this. You have buyer's remorse first. It wasn't authentic. Then it was the size. Now it doesn't shimmer. It said small tote. It's an actual tote. Sorry you don't see it that way, but I did not make the purse, so I can't apologize for it being what you thought a tote should be. I'm done commenting. I've shared this as well so others don't have the same problem. Have a good evening. I also blocked you. To the seller, it's pretty insulting that you're misrepresenting facts, and please don't insult me further by accusing me of buyer's remorse. I don't know if you switched the bag, but the picture you posted is not the bag. Looks like you can comment forever. It does not change the issue at hand. Misrepresented goods. Stop deflecting and be accountable for what you did. I think you switched the bag, hun. Oh, man, she's hurting my head. No, now she swapped it. Just so we're keeping on track. Let's remember, it wasn't authentic. It was the size. It didn't shimmer. Now she swapped it out. Okay, dear, let's make this clear. I've been on Posh for quite some time, way longer than you. I have over 250 sales and have never ever had such a rude buyer. Lol. The bag was made in 2013. It's old! I would never switch the bags, especially on a bag I sold for $54. Okay, dear? That's insulting. I shouldn't even have sold it for that. If you had any questions regarding the size, you should have asked. The bag is described correctly, whatever you think it is or not. Goodbye! So you're saying because you've been on Posh longer, that makes you an expert? You're not honest, hun. And yes, please share with your other friends that misrepresent items that I will open a case. Facts are facts, hun. You finally got caught selling an item that is either the item not depicted or you just misstated the facts. I'm not rude. I just think you have a problem with the truth, hun! And you don't need to block me. I'll never buy from you again. Thank you. I don't know how that ended, but I really hope, like she was a mess. But it got super personal at the end, so I don't really know how that worked out for either of them. All right, here's the next one. Not as long, I promise. Lululemon Run Reflect Crops Rare Print. They reported item is not authentic. Fabric is off. Dot symbol is oval and has tiny designs in it compared to my authentic Lululemon pants shown in pic 2. Fake one I purchased is on the right. Material on pocket reverse side doesn't carry through. Zipper has super tiny string and feels cheap. Hems are frayed around in areas. This is not authentic Lululemon quality. These crops are real. I know because they were purchased at the Winnipeg Lulu store. Everything I have in my closet is authentic. I have not shopped at any secondhand store. As stated, these are older. At different times during the Lulu store's opening, there have been items with different shaped gussets, different sized Lulu symbols. Lulu has made items with size dots and items with no size dots. I believe this piece has Lulu has a size dot in the pocket. And then she goes, the first two pictures are of a Lulu model with Lulu wearing these exact crops. I provided measurements in my post. If you look in my closet, you will see I have a ton of Lululemon in it, all bought and paid for from the Lululemon store. The original price for these was $88 plus 15% tax. And then she goes on to show all the information. This person says, it's fake. You know it is. My underwear thong is showing through on the material. That doesn't mean they're fake. Oh my God. These are not fake. Lulu made a lot of tights that you can see your underwear through. For that reason alone, I always wear longer tops with my Lulu. I wear Lulu every day. I own about 800 plus items of Lulu. No, that's a diehard fan. Also, are you rich? I want to be rich. You say you don't buy them at the thrift store or, or the bins or whatever. You get them from the store. So I want to be on that rich life. So I guess she went to her other listing. She's like, oh, here's some other Lululemon I'm seeing. A sensation is capitalized in the second photo. You have an upside down sizing tag that you flip to make it appear properly, which I don't really understand. And that's not even relevant to this case. So anyways, I don't think so. Every piece of Lulu I own has been purchased from the store. I have never sold fake Lulu in my life, and I have sold a lot of Lulu. Then she goes to provide every tag. I guess that's a thing. People collect the tags from their clothes. Here's the on the move pant that are also being claimed as fake. So she was going into her closet, I guess, and getting this information. And somehow they approved the buyer's return because of undisclosed stitching flaws. Not because they weren't authentic, but because of these frayed stitching. Here's the next one. They open a return for the brown leather Mary James. The one heel is bigger than the other shoe, and the color is not the same. I'm so sorry. Can I return them? Thank you. I think this person's very nice. I'm sorry you're not pleased with your purchase. Giving people great deals on products they love is my favorite part of selling. That being said, Poshmark, I'd like to request the buyer provide photos of both shoes. I have included mine from my listing. The shoes are the same color. I'm not sure what strap is being shown in the buyer's photo, but it's clearly not a strap from the other shoe. My photos also show that the shoes are the same size. Thank you. I thought the shoe was going to be more of the strap color. That's why I sent it. The right shoe is too big. And then she says, here you go. And Like, honestly, the shoe looked like it was the exact same size. As you can see, it looks like it's the same size to me. So this one was the Xena Outfitters Ash Gray Cotton Basic Knee Skirt, reported as broken, damaged, or stained. The item just arrived. Tag is still attached. There's a hole punctured all the way through, visible both the front and the back side. Very flimsy shipping. Was just in a thin sack. Seeking return and full refund. Poor quality product and shipping. That looks like something where, like, you know when you like poke scissors through and it goes through both sides? Maybe when she was poking it through. It sounds like it was damaged in transit, as it was in perfect condition when it left my possession. I do use poly mailers, as do most Poshmark sellers. This is the first time out of over 1,200 orders that has been an issue. I, too, am a seller, and I do package all my products in boxes to ensure they reach the purchaser in quality condition. Nonetheless, I don't know where it was damaged. The back was not punctured in any capacity, but the tags are still on the skirt. It's never seen the light of day. Like I said before, this is my first issue with poly bags. Boxes are not 100% safe, as I have received boxes that were crushed in the process, thus damaging the product, and I think it could be my tag that might have been the issue, as I wonder if it was jarred in a way that created a hole. I will take precautions with the tag in the future. There's no need to send it back. I will just have to throw it away since it is now unsellable. Thank you. I don't understand why you feel necessary to chastise, lecture me about shipping or packaging. I just received, it's damaged. I don't care how you package. I won't burden by purchasing again. But I find it unprofessional. Instead of apologizing, you feel necessary to educate on shipping methods and how many transactions you've done, and that it was in perfect condition when it left you. I will be sending it back as per return policy. Actually, I was merely responding to your criticism on how it was packaged. I wasn't chastising you, and I'm unsure why you think that. You don't have to return a product if the seller advises it's not necessary. Poshmark should at that point give you a refund. I felt you were very rude and could have gone about the return in a nicer way. Like, this seller is being like super nice about everything, but then Poshmark requests more photos, which is an automated message. I uploaded 4 pictures with the original complaint. You seriously need additional pictures? I don't have any pictures of the packaging. I had to tear it open to even remove the garment. It was not in a box or any padding. It was in a flimsy envelope that had to rip it apart to take it out. I do not know if the packaging was punctured, but the skirt is punctured all the way through, and that is the pictures I provided you. After careful review, we have decided to resolve this favorably for both of you and the buyer. The earnings have been released and your buyer has been refunded. I think if you yell loud enough at Poshmark, they just go, here, take your money and go, peace. Here is Alice and Olivia Daisy duffel bag. You used this photo as a sort of reference for size. I thought I was getting one this big. Instead, I got something half the size of this photo. This will not work as a hospital duffel bag whatsoever. It's a stock image. Poshmark measurements were provided for the buyer within the description. The stock images provided were taken directly from the company website for that bag that was sold to the buyer. The buyer is more than welcome to reposh the item using the reposh feature. There is nothing more I could have provided the buyer to ensure an informed purchase was being made. And then attached the description. Don't use stock photos on items when it's clearly not the right size item shown. As a seller, you could clearly tell the photos were misleading by size. As you can see, the photos against the person is more of a weekender size. The white flat lie does not exactly show a size comparison. This is not the size comparison the photos show. Either I lose out on shipping and I'll resend it, or I'd like a credit or return of half of, as I got half the size of the bag pictured. She got a whole bag. What is she talking about? A whole bag is there. Poshmark, the images used for this listing came directly from the company website, and the item was listed as a duffel bag with measurements and not as a weekender bag. The stock photo the buyer used was taken on an upward angle on a petite model to show style, not size. This is why I felt it was important to attach measurements as I did. I again did my due diligence as a seller to allow the buyer to make an informed purchase. And like you see from this photo, it is a smaller size model, a petite model. And it is a bag, and obviously she's going up the stairs, so the camera would be lower, and from an angle, yes, I can understand why it would seem bigger, but it's not an on like directly on photo. This is like if you took a photo with a plus size model and your bag was like, say this big, don't worry about that, was this big, but then you got it as a petite person and it was much bigger. Like using someone's body to compare it to just doesn't make sense to me. And then provided another photo of it, more of a direct on photo, and again the description. You still used misleading photos. Your diligence as a seller, if you knew the Poshmark photos were misleading, was to not use those photos. I've now shown the listing to 3 people, including the measurements, and they said as a buyer, measurements are one thing, but they always take into consideration the comparison photos, and they would have thought the same in regards to the size as I. As stated, I'll clearly return the bag. So you asked a couple of your besties if they would like say the same thing as you, but also it is your like job as a buyer to check measurements. Like it's the only way I can safeguard my business is to make sure I provide measurements, because I could take a picture with a bag with an apple, but you could tell me your apple from a crabapple tree was a completely different size. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like this whole conversation just Poshmark, it is buyer's responsibility to actively read the description and take into account measurements as stated in the policy when making an online purchase. I accurately described the item that was sold. Unfortunately, the buyer was anticipating a weekend bag versus the duffel bag they purchased, and that is of no fault of my own. I have added all supporting details to the case and have nothing more to add as a seller. I trust Poshmark's support will make an informed decision on the matter. I'm not saying that this Poshmark is going to side with me. I'm simply saying there's nothing more I can say. I've said it all. Like, we'll go off. And they do. So Poshmark says we requested more photos. And they go, the depth according to the seller's measurements was 8.25 inches. It's 8. And that's at base. And the usable part tapers up. The width barely is 15 inches because the usable part is seam to seam and the extra goes to the depth. The only thing that's bigger than listed is the height, so maybe that's where the missing measurements of the rest is. Again, the seller said that the stock photos make the bag look bigger than it is. She even knew that. Don't use stock photos that don't match the product, whether the company you got it from used it or not. Doesn't make it right. And she used a metal measuring tape, and she never, like, opened the bag. She's measuring it flat. I'm just like, I don't know how this works. Whatever, but I wasn't going to get into it because at this point I'm just going to be arguing back and forth with this buyer, and I was like, me. So I guess Poshmark offered her a credit. I refused the credit, not because I won't use the credit eventually, but because last time I was stuck with the seller not sending the right product, completely different shoe. I couldn't resell the item, so I was technically out my own money, plus the $15 credit just covers the cost of shipping and not even the taxes I paid for this item. I would maybe paid $25 to $30 on this item had I known it was an overnight size versus a duffel. So now it's not even a weekender. Now we've gotten it down to from a duffel to an overnight. Search duffel on Amazon. Bigger duffels on there, and I've already ordered a different $70 one on there and came in today. I don't have time to wait. I am due with a high-risk pregnancy anytime this August. Now this was in July, so. But also, this was a designer bag. Like, this is like Alice and Olivia. It wasn't just some Amazon random manufactured bag. But okay. Mind you, I did have it listed at like $100 and something, and she offered me $55 and then was like, I gave you a low offer because that's what it's worth. Before I even had, like, I accepted before she even said that. And then I already knew this was going to be a problem. But like I said, I had already said everything I needed to say. And the person says, the only reason why I keep this bag was for my toddler to use as an overnight bag to stay at her grandma's, but I wouldn't have spent more than $25 to $30 as that was the price I was looking at on Amazon for her for the same size of bag I received off Poshmark. I don't think I'd accept anything lower than a $30 credit at least because, like I said, I was more than willing to package it back up and ship it out. Poshmark says, after careful review, we've decided to resolve this favorably for both of you and the buyer, and the earnings have been released and your buyer has been refunded, which is crappy because, like, she still gets to keep the bag, but at the same time, I still get paid. And also, I'd like to point out that it was brand new, in the bag, sealed, so if she had returned it to me, it would no longer be brand new. So I really didn't want that. Okay, so I have worn Peruvian Connection clothing for extra small for almost a decade without issue. I had no problem ordering this dress as a small, but honestly, it is a tiny size 2, not a 4 as advertised. This item was unacceptably small, as if it had been washed and dried. I understand I may have to accept it, but most likely will not shop on Poshmark again. These people, like, they're so dramatic. They're like, oh my god, I'm never shopping on Poshmark as a whole. Because this one seller supposedly did something wrong. And the seller says, I am sorry, but I showed the size tag in the listing. I also showed exact measurements. Poshmark does not allow returns for fit. If you'd like to resell it, you have my permission to use my photos and copy to relist it. I have been a top rated seller for over 6 years and go out of my way to list as completely as humanly possible. I cannot control the size variance of manufacturing. I don't know what happened after that. But, like, it was just kind of, like, weird that, like, they kind of, like, come off like, I'm not selling you ever, I'm not buying you ever again. This is from the buyer's point of view. The listing described the items as all in good shape with lots of life, but made no mention of holes, stains, and pilling. Many items were also covered in pet hair. The Puma shirt is filled with runs and holes as well as stains. I cannot have my child wear these and cannot accept this order, and am disappointed in the condition that these were sent in. More photos to come. And then included all, like, the photos of the damage. Runs in the first shirt, the rest covered in pet hair. They seem in good condition to me. They were worn by a little boy. Poshmark doesn't seem to be the place to sell used or worn items. It seems to be a place to sell items with tags and have never been worn. This is $100 worth of clothing for an extremely cheap price. Now, like, come on. I have an entire room full of stuff right now of worn, like, physically put on items where they don't have holes or stains or holes, like, runs in them. And I managed to sell them just fine on Poshmark. Seems to be the perfect place. You know, almost like that's the point. And then the buyer said holes and stains because they said they were going to send more photos, and they are. Hey, sorry, I didn't notice a single issue when I took them from his dresser. Refund, I guess. Donate them if you like. And, like, I will no longer be selling used items on Poshmark. Thanks. Why is that a Poshmark problem? Anybody else notice this? Why is this a Poshmark? Like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, okay, so then don't. And then holes, stains, and filthy. I personally would not say filthy. They haven't been worn in over a year. You sent stained, holy, pet hair covered clothing to somebody. What foot do you have to stand on to tell them they can't call it filthy? They haven't been worn in over a year. Great. You didn't think to maybe throw them in the washer one time? No longer fit. As I said, refund, donate. They will end up in the landfill, which is what I was trying to avoid. The fact that you think that if I donate them to the thrift store, they will even throw them in the landfill just proves the exact condition that they shouldn't be sold. And this case was canceled, and, like, this was resolved. The item was canceled, and a full refund was returned tomorrow. I was the buyer. I hate buying on Poshmark because I think my standards are just too high as a seller. My expectations are too high, and I just don't feel like I ever get, like, a good buy. Except for, like, for my PFS. My PFS, they do me good. But the rest, I get a little nervous. And then also, like, trying to avoid putting it in the landfill. Like, I'm literally sitting in a room full of items that I am saving from the landfill. Your impact that you think you're creating by keeping that garbage out of a landfill is not the impact you think you're making. And that's it for today. I could probably go through so many more. I mean, since my last video, I have gotten a few cases of my own. It's a part of the business. The only tips I have for sellers is to keep it professional, address Poshmark, measurements. Oh my god, measurements. And you know what, don't let it get you down, because it's a part of doing this business. It's one of the things, you know, there's thrifting, there's listing, there's cases, because not everyone is going to be happy, no matter how hard you try, no matter how you wrap your item, no matter what you use, no matter what you do. A lot of the times it's out of your hands. So just try to do your best, list accurately, provide measurements, and fingers crossed you get a 5-star. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. It feels great to be back. And I'm going to edit this and put it up as a Friday feature. Because, you know what? I didn't get it up in time for Wednesday, but I think I have a really good video for next Wednesday. And I don't want to have to wait 2 weeks to post that video. So I'm going to go see my best friend for the first time. I'm so excited. Okay. I will see you guys next Wednesday, right? We're going to keep me to that, okay? Thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. You guys are amazing. You guys have shown me an immense amount of support over the last few months. It's been a while, but I'm here. I'm back. If you're not following me on Instagram, check out my description down there. Follow me on Instagram. I'm on there daily. I post fun things, and I post here weekly on Wednesday. So let's get back into the rhythm of things. I cannot wait till these kids go back to school so I can be more on top of things. And yes, my death pile is still very large. Yep. I keep things consistent. Even if I'm not being consistent with my videos, I keep this consistent. I will see you guys next Wednesday. No, you know what? That's not spicy enough. Okay, let's try this again. I gave you way too much credit to believe that you would have... Whoa. I forgot I made a soul today.